an absolutely terrifying statistic for any single man in the West. The reasons behind this exorbitant divorce rate are widely debated and hotly contested, and there's a good deal of validity to a lot of these points. However, I have a very simple explanation that cuts to the heart of the issue. Here it is. The reason why most marriages fail is because marriage is inherently a very humble institution, and because of its fundamental humility, it cannot support all the extra that people are subject to piling on top of that institution. Marriage is just not designed to support more than what it was built to do. And at the end of the day, what a marriage was built to do is to provide a context for people to come together and raise children. Why most marriages fail. We know that the divorce rate is extremely high in the Western world. More than half of marriages end in divorce, which should be an absolutely terrifying statistic for any single man in the West. The reasons behind this exorbitant divorce rate are widely debated and hotly contested, and there's a good deal of validity to a lot of these points. However, I have a very simple explanation that cuts to the heart of the issue. Here it is. The reason why most marriages fail is because marriage is inherently a very humble institution, and because of its fundamental humility.
Hola, hola, buenas noches a todos que nos están acompañando esta noche, gracias. Bueno, aquí estamos, episodio 19, ya casi alcanzamos al 21, pero estamos aquí este jueves, listos para empezar el capítulo de hoy, y para darles un poco de advertencia, va a ser en inglés, pero no, obvio nomás estoy haciendo esta introducción en español para que sepan. Así que le seguimos, y gracias otra vez por acompañarnos, Ricardo.
Así es, muy buenas noches, bienvenidos nuevamente, episodio 19. ¿Y por qué 21? Tengo curiosidad. ¿Por qué 21? ¿Por qué tu número 21?
Bueno, porque dicen que si quieres ser el 1% de los podcasts, tienes que tener 21 episodios.
Oh, ok.
Ya, de ahí eres el top del top.
Es bueno saber eso.
Porque muchos ni siquiera llegan a 21.
Oh, qué bien.
Ajá, se rajan.
Mejor. Pues sí, nuevamente bienvenidos otra vez a los que nos sintonizan. Sí, como dice mi compañero Eros, va a ser pues en inglés, porque una de nuestras invitadas sí entiende español, pero ella se expresa mejor en inglés, y es lo que tratamos de, ¿verdad?, sacar toda nuestra conversación y todo el tipo de conocimiento en lo mejor que se pueda posible. Así que otra vez bienvenidos, y otra vez recordando que estamos en tierra nativa. Y pues nada más hacer pues conciencia de que estamos en stolen native land, y nada más para agradecer a nuestros hermanos nativos y hermanas de la tribu de Piguala, que estamos conscientes que estamos en sus tierras. Nada más, como siempre, cada semana pues es lo que tratamos de, ¿verdad?, crear esa conciencia también. Y nuevamente nos pueden sintonizar directamente en vivos. Estamos en nuestra página principal, que es Facebook, y también en YouTube como BTRU, Voice Tacoma Radio Universal, y también nos pueden encontrar en Instagram. Nuevamente les hacemos la invitación, como todas las semanas, ¿verdad? Si son bienvenidos cualquier persona que quiera venir y estar en nuestro estudio aquí y compartir ideas, sugerencias o soluciones, son bienvenidas. También comentarios, likes o sharing también pueden hacerlo también en nuestra página principal. Y pues como siempre, nuestro tiempo es muy limitado, así que vamos a empezar a lo que venimos, ¿verdad?
Right to it.
Vamos a introducir, vamos a empezar a introducir a nuestras invitadas, empezando por nuestra nueva invitada, que su nombre es Kesia.
Kesia. Yes.
Okay, like it's every week. Well, I thought we were gonna in English. So
we're switching it out now. So
switch it out to English
switch.
or Spanglish, si se puede. First, please give us your name.
Sure.
Name, Kesia, and age, where you're from, profession. Your highest education level completed, dating status, relationship with your parents.
Oh, wow.
Like
okay. Absolutely.
Age?
Age, I'm 44.
Okay. You don't look 44.
Yeah,
by the way.
44. Thank you.
Very young. Where are you from?
Originally from Salinas, California,
Oh, Cali. Okay.
and my ancestors are from Portugal, Spain, and Mexico.
Oh, okay.
That's really cool.
Thank you.
What's your profession?
I'm a full-time mom to 4 daughters, and I work part-time at a law firm.
4 daughters.
Yeah,
All
Damn.
girls, huh?
all girls.
No boy.
Oh boy.
It's almost the opposite of my family. We're 3 boys, no girls.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Lots of testosterone.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you work as a paralegal?
A paralegal work, yeah.
Assistant, okay.
Yeah.
Just to part-time, full-time?
Part-time.
Okay. What's your highest education level completed?
Completed would be high school.
Okay. Your dating current status?
Yeah, that's a great question. I'm currently just establishing friendships. Not currently dating.
Not seriously dating.
Yeah.
Just
Single.
It's very single.
So single.
Yeah.
Okay. What's your relationship with your parents, especially your dad?
Oh, great question. My dad actually passed away when I was 17.
Sorry.
But we continued our journey of getting to know one another throughout his absence, discovering him through relatives and different types of conversations, and trying to connect with him in a spiritual way.
What was it like growing up with your parent as a young woman from your childhood?
It was challenging. My mom raised us in a very strict setting, and we weren't heard as kiddos, unfortunately. So that it had its challenges, but we were very, very consistent in a religion.
What religion, if you don't mind me asking? Catholic, Christian?
No, it was Jehovah's Witness.
Jehovah's Witness. A witness. Yeah, I'm familiar with that religion. Okay. Yeah, we also.
Knocking at your door.
Go ahead.
Yeah, knocking at your door. Just to be clear, I've been out of that for 7 years now.
Okay, because that was going to be my next question. If
Yeah.
you're still active, or which is, yeah, it's very difficult.
Only 2 people that knock on your doors: Girl Scouts and Jehovah's Witnesses.
Speaking of that, I had a friend back home when he was always unfortunately drinking, and I asked him one day, as a kid, I said, "Hey, you look bored. Why are you so sad or bored?" He was, well, the Jehovah's Witness people hasn't stopped by. I'm bored. I'm waiting for them. I want them to come and so I can talk to him.
Oh, he was
So
lonely. He sounds lonely.
It was very hilarious. Then it resonated in my head like, oh, okay, it was very hilarious. Anyways, so we ask these questions, right, to all our guests, so we can have a better understanding and to know more about them, and also to collect data, or
Okay.
statistics and stuff like that. If you wonder. Yeah, this is not an interrogation or anything like that. We're not going to ask you for personal stuff or social security number, or for anything like that. A fun fact about yourself that you like to share with us?
Let's see. A fun fact.
Yeah, some type of talent.
Aside from being stylish.
Oh, yeah, my aesthetic is
Yeah, we
on
love your
point.
style.
Thank you. I am a thrifter. I love thrift shopping.
Thrift. Yeah, my daughter is also that. Yeah, she loves thrifting.
Yes. Yeah, it's a lot
You
of
find
fun.
a lot of vintage stuff, a lot of valuable,
Yes.
wearable stuff. Yeah,
Yes.
she loves that. That's one of her favorite hobbies. She actually had one of those.
Is that where you got that?
This is exactly where I got this.
That's awesome.
B Street,
You're-
Aberdeen,
You're
Washington.
pulling it off very good. You're rocking it.
You got it
Thank
at
you.
a surplus.
Don't say it. Don't say it.
Don't
This
say,
guy is
like-
also.
He's gonna go to your spot.
He's gonna be.
It's my spot for sure. Yeah, I love thrifting. It's there's something about the energy that you feel there, and when you connect with an item, it's like, I'm gonna put you to good use.
Yes, you're right.
It's a connection.
Yeah, I get it. I'm kind of like that. Not completely 100% because our time is pretty limited, but yeah, when my daughter invites me, I go over there, and I understand. I get the feeling. So you love thrifting, and the last one is you consider yourself a feminist?
Do I consider myself a feminist? How would you define a feminist?
That was going to be my second question, but
However you would define it,
How
for
I-
starters.
I mean, I am new to a lot of terminology because it wasn't something that I learned in my foundation as a youth, but I support women. I feel that as a woman myself that we can accomplish our dreams and that we are empowered within.
of course, no, it's valid.
Yeah.
Because me and Eros consider ourselves feminists as well. Now, there's three types of feminists, right? In this day, 2004, which is the traditional feminism, modern feminism, and then the extreme feminism. Right? So we consider ourselves, traditional feminists because we all want equality. We all, like you said, we all want the same opportunities.
Yeah.
Nobody obviously wants to be oppressed by any type of, sex or gender. We all deserve as human beings in the eyes of the society and law. We all hold the same value regardless of sex, race or beliefs, stuff like that.
But also
Yeah.
being aware of our different strengths.
All right. So I would put down traditional, maybe feminine,
Traditional
modern,
sounds.
or a combination.
I'm going to
maybe.
do more research when I get home tonight, so thank you for that. But
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
I would say between I'm not an extremist, but in anything really, but traditional would be.
Traditional, yeah.
I'll start there.
Our
I'll start
traditional
there.
values as
Yeah.
human
Yeah.
beings. And
Perfect.
Stuff. Okay. Perfect. Fun fact: you're twisted, and then traditional. And now we're gonna go with our guest Nancy. This is the second time we have her here with us tonight, and last time from some of our viewers' requests. They say, "Why don't you bring Nancy?" She had a lot of
Oh, really?
contributions.
Oh, wow.
Feedback.
That's awesome.
So it
Has
was,
some pizzazz.
yeah. So and I was lucky to run into her in our social dances. So here she is. She's back. So don't hesitate to ask questions, to send shout outs. So again, for our viewers, I mean, we know who you are, Nancy, but for some of our viewers, your name again?
Sure, I'm Nancy.
Okay, Nancy.
I'm 37.
Okay. Where are you from again?
I'm originally from California, Los Angeles, and I've been living in the Pacific Northwest for 16 years, but I'm new to the Seattle area.
What's your ethnicity background?
I am Latina, Mexican, Peruvian.
That's a good combination. I forgot to ask you, I'm sorry, Kesia.
Yeah.
Your ethnic background would be,
She said Spain, Portugal, Mexico.
so you consider yourself like a Latina or?
Yes.
Yeah, Latina,
Yes,
right? 'Cause
Latina.
the Spanish. Okay. And your profession, Nancy?
I'm a professional dog groomer, pet groomer. I have a salon.
Dog groomer.
Dog
Got it.
groomer, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And this is your own business?
Yes. In West Seattle.
Only doggies?
Right now, only dogs. Yes. Yes.
Okay.
What do you have against cats?
You know,
I
I,
know.
I don't have anything against cats. I
We going
just
beef right now.
I did my time. I did 5 years of cat grooming, and I said, okay, I'm good. They're just different, and my
many
energy.
scratches?
Actually, yes, I got attacked by a cat pretty bad, so that was like the trauma I had there, and I haven't worked through that yet, so we're still working one trauma at a time.
Putting it on the back burner.
Yeah. But my energy gravitates more towards the dog.
Good
So
dog. You own a pet, a doggy?
no, not anymore.
Oh,
My
wow.
dogs have passed, but when the time comes, yeah.
No, that's usually the case, yeah. People who build houses don't own houses. You know, I'm an auto technician, and my car is always breaking down. You know, stuff like that. That's what there's a saying in Spanish. En la casa de herrero hay asador de palo. You know, which means at the house of the one guy who builds the metal grill, he don't have one. You know, it's only a wood thingy, right? Something like that. I'm bad at translating. I'm sorry. Okay, you're a groomer. You know, own a doggy.
Yeah.
You've been vaccinated for the rabies vaccine.
I have not
You
been
have-
vaccinated for that.
No.
You know.
Well, because I tried to take my cat to a one of those grooming
Yeah.
places, and they said, no, your cat have to be vaccinated.
Well, the cats do. The animals do. Yeah, they have to have their vaccines.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So you don't have to, but the cats
Yeah.
have to.
Uh-huh.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But,
It's
well,
a stray cat.
I guess how does that work? Because when you get bit by an animal with rabies, you have to get a
Rabies.
rabies shot. Right?
Well, most people
Or-
coming to a salon don't have dogs or animals that are prone to rabies. They're not wild. They're not feral.
Oh, mine is.
So-
It's a
oh,
stray
yours
cat.
is-
It's a stray cat. I rescued a stray cat.
Found
Yeah.
them in the dumpster right
But
by the alley.
but yeah, most people, they take care of their animals, so that come to see me. Yeah,
I know. Don't let him bring you any.
I know.
any
No,
animals.
no rabies
No
from
rabies,
you.
yeah. It's been eradicated. Don't worry. Highest education level completed?
High school,
High school. Your current dating status?
single.
Single, ready to?
No, I'm
Just taking your time.
I'm with my friend here. I'm cultivating foundational friendships.
Focusing on
That
you
really,
guys' selves.
yeah, that really
Single.
embody the movement and just the progression of growth. So, yeah.
Oh, those are beautiful words.
So that's
Put it-
that's new to the story last time, but we'll get into it later.
Yeah, we'll get into it
We
later.
don't need to bring the past into the present. We're in the present.
A little bit of that, because our paths unfortunately determine our future
I
most of
know.
the time. But we'll get into that
Yeah.
later on when things get a little more spicy and stuff. What was your relation with your parents again, if you don't mind reminding us?
Yeah, so I'm adopted. Was adopted when I was 2, and so I did not have a father figure. Well, I had a father figure, my grandfather, but I didn't have a dad in the home. And he was pretty strict, being from Peru and military background. He was really strict with all of us. So yeah.
Okay, so you had some male figure in your lives, especially your
My grandfather,
your
yeah.
grandfather.
Yeah.
Yeah, some Mexican or Peruvian?
He was Peruvian.
In Peru. Okay.
Yeah.
And then the fun fact about yourself.
Fun fact, I am a dancer. I love dancing, all Latin styles, and then I'm also learning other styles and incorporating them all into my style. So yeah.
Yeah, I approve that. Yeah, I seen you dance. You dance amazing. Any other dance that interests you besides the Latin dance?
Right now I'm studying Kizomba. I really love
Oh,
Kizomba.
Kizomba, yes.
It's a West African dance from Angola, and most of the music is in Portuguese and French, so it just brings an eclectic style, and it's helping me to build trust between my partner when I'm dancing.
Yeah, I've seen it before. It's pretty fun. Do you dance kizomba? You try it?
Yes, I do.
You do.
I do.
Nice.
It's been a while, but
I've been wanting to learn, but it's just too many, amazing dances that you got to learn one first, and then move to the next one and stuff. Yeah, it's not. It's easy. You consider yourself a feminist?
No, I don't consider.
No. You don't believe in
No. I don't believe.
equal rights, equal
No.
fights?
I don't consider myself a feminist, but my beliefs are grounded in the feminist ideologies, meaning the equality, the liberation of the feminine, all of that. I am for that. It's great. But I also feel and believe that that word has been thrown around so much in our societies, in the modern world of, when it became socially brought to everyone's attention that women were fighting for our own rights and our own things. And I think sometimes that word just gets thrown out so much, and so the validity of it just gets watered down, and so I don't consider myself a feminist, only because the definition is just so broad. Like she mentioned, well, what's your definition? Everyone as individuals and as our right, we have our own definitions on things. So I think it's really breaking down what that definition is for you, and then realizing like, oh, this is what I believe, this is what I don't believe. So saying I'm a feminist, I couldn't say that. It's like saying I'm a vegan just because I ate a vegan meal. No.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's acceptable. I would say to that, well, we have already, definitions already from certain, certain topics or certain terms. So yeah, feminism simply means, the action of offer, regardless of sex, the
Sure.
same opportunities, equal rights, and
Sure,
stuff like that,
but I feel like that's a human thing. It's not a feminist thing. So it's a human rights for me thing. What I believe in is everybody, like you said earlier, deserves to have all of that. So again, for me personally, the word feminist or feminism, for me, it doesn't hold any value to me.
Yeah, you're right. That's why I kind of broken it down. Traditional feminism, which is it was the idea of certain sex was suppressed in the day, back in the days, and now modern feminism. But now now I will ask you a question, Kesia. You think feminism is needed nowadays in this modern era? When you hear your friend talking, about that her own definition of feminism, would you agree with that, or?
Absolutely. I feel like we are all human beings on this planet, and despite male, female, there's an innerness that we can connect to that's equal and right.
You think it's needed nowadays?
I think good examples are needed. I think good examples, good influences for our kiddos growing up for the future.
So it's still needed. Feminism is still needed nowadays in this modern world.
Advocates for women's rights of equality, yes.
And you think that's not already implanted?
I don't know much about it to say, I don't have a woman that I look up to, so I think that there still needs to be like a movement or like someone that has a good example.
You think women are still oppressed till this day?
Do I think women are still oppressed? I think we're misunderstood.
Women are misunderstood.
Do you think women were ever oppressed?
Do I think women were ever oppressed? Yes.
During like which era?
I would say, go back 100 years, 50 years, 25 years. It depends on the situation that you're raised in. I think there are probably still a lot of women that are oppressed today that aren't being heard, that aren't in the right situation or circumstance to be heard. But definitely with the ideals of like women being home and being homemakers and whatnot, I feel like there wasn't that discussion of you can be more than just this. You can be more than just what your mom was or your grandmother was. That you are on your journey and you can make it as to what you want it to be.
Okay. So for you, what would, obviously you're single, so what would your ideal situation be? Like, would you work because you want to work, or if you had a man to like be able to provide for you, would you prefer that or just working?
That's a great question. My situation's a little different. I'm more traditional, and with my circumstances of just what I'm capable of doing, because I struggle with a disability. I have a chronic cancer that I'm not able to fully work like I want to at this point in my life. So like having the support of someone that I can just breathe a little and know that I'm gonna be okay, like that would be great.
Yeah.
That would be my ideal, but that's not always the situation.
I think nowadays that's kind of like a argument going on. Is like, you know, that you have like the more radical feminists who are like, you know, women should be able to work, make their own money, boss babes, yada yada. And then you have on the other side is the women who are like more in control of their choice and like it's okay to just be a homemaker. Like I don't want to go to work. But then they get, you know, shit on a bit by the more radical feminists for wanting that for themselves. Would you agree or disagree? Either of you. Like, yeah, feel free to jump in, Nancy.
Well, I feel that it's a choice. We all have free will, women, men. So if a partnership, as far as our topic, right, pros and cons of a relationship.
Yes.
If the partnership is a relationship based on the traditional gender roles, which is, you know, the male works, the female stays home, homemaker, and that is a patriarchal, that it's from patriarchy, right? It comes from us from decades ago. This is what we were taught. This is what it was. Not really realizing that if we were hunter and gatherers, you know, if we were back in that time, yes, the roles, it wasn't really, I mean, yes, gender, obviously it's man, female, but really it's just the natural instinct in us that we're given, where the man goes out, hunts, brings back the food. The women and the village, they take care of the children and the homes, and they all work together to cultivate this harmonious community, right?
Yeah.
I think that is what we're lacking in our day and age society now. Is there's so much disconnection that even within that realm of two people coming into a partnership, if the male wants to be the provider and fit their role, it is then can be looked at like, well, you're oppressing the woman or you're not allowing or whatever. And there shouldn't be a battle. It should be between the two people. So if for her, she would like to be in a partnership where she felt more supported in all these other ways. That's great. You know, for me, I personally feel like if I am building a life with an individual, then yes, let's build together with both of our strengths. And if there are children involved, then I definitely, as a woman, would want to raise my children and be in the home and give them that attention that they need. The first 5 years is really crucial for a baby, for a child.
Yep.
So having their mother and their father too present, right? But understanding the dynamic. But if children were not the case, which I don't want children, then my partnership would look a little different. I would want there to be an equality where we both work, we both sustain each other. If one of us happens to get ill or something, we still have the other one as a support, and it's not just all on one person, because I think that sometimes brings an imbalance in relationships, because then one partner feels more than or less than. But again, it's all between the two people and their communication, you know, and how they want to work things out.
Yep. And I can get behind that as long as, you know, the two people in the relationship kind of figure things out for themselves.
Absolutely, yes. Absolutely. And just like us, we're all individuals, and relationships are individual to them, to those people. So who are we to look on the outside and say, oh, well, you know, you're not letting her work? Well, she doesn't want to work. And that's okay, you know?
Yep, shouldn't be condemned.
And also there are men that stay at home with their children, and the wife goes out and works, and it just works for their dynamic. And I think that's beautiful in itself too, because we're all feminine and masculine energies. So for a male to tap into that femininity and be able to raise a child and be there and do all those things, I think that's beautiful in itself. And it takes a certain person to be able to fulfill that.
Yeah, the feminization of men, Rico, or was that along the lines of what she just said?
Yeah, sort of, because I'm contribute my 2 cents here, what you just mentioned. Yeah, I mean, you put it very beautifully, by the way. Unfortunately, it's not very attractive, the affemination of men, because we know now that more than 50% of men are raised by single mothers. You know, especially in the Western world, which is or the super developed countries, and the United States is one of them. 80% of educators at school, they're women. So what I'm trying to say is that most men are indoctrinized,
Right.
with this, feminine ideas, and unfortunately, it sounds very good on paper, in theory, but in practice, it's not very a good conducive concept for attraction from most women. I don't know if you understand that. That an feminized man is not very attractive, and that's one of the issues with raising, single mothers, and they've done these studies already.
But what is your definition of a feminized man? Because when I hear that word, I hear of, back in the day they used to call them metrosexual.
Metrosexual.
Somebody who takes care, and that's the thing. It's like metrosexual. That's not a bad thing. That's somebody like you guys who do your hair, probably have your nails nice. You guys dress nice. So you guys are technically metrosexual, but then there's this context that makes it to be something else depending on the person. So a feminized male, again, that context of feminized. We all have femininity in us. Just because you're more nurturing, does that mean you're feminine? Just because you're more willing to sit and talk with your child instead of spank them and tell them to go to your room,
Yeah, that sounds very good, but to be completely honest, no, I don't consider myself a some type metrosexual. I mean, I believe in hygiene and cleanliness, and obviously getting your hair cut down, your beard trimmed up. No, I would say you probably confuse it more from flamboyant type of.
Okay.
No, but it's not just on appearance wise. It's more. Behavior wise, your tone of voice. And nowadays, in 2024, most men are more influenced by a feminine type of ideology, or trends that is not very attractive, and it's not, for most women. And that's one of that's one of the issues that we have for relationships, as far as attraction goes. And
so that would be a con in your opinion?
It would be a con, because we need to remind also our audience, right? Our topic is the pros and cons of a marriage and a relationship. What are the cons and what are the pros, right? So I would say that because most men at very young age, they're influenced by their single moms, unfortunately, and then at school, like I said, most educators are women. And most men grow up without a male figure in their life, and then that's kind of conducive to degeneracy as well. They because they done this studies. They did this survey in prisons, and 80% of most inmates they come from single mothers households. Like most criminals are created in the single mom's household, unfortunately, because the laws here, and like I said, in this westernized world, they remove the male figure, and which is the disciplinary figure, which is it's gonna teach the young kid, how to behave and how to gain strength and how to become.
Well, can I also say I don't believe it's just the Western world. I believe that it's all over the world, because as Latin people, we know that most cultures, you don't leave your house unless you're married. People in the Middle East, in India, they are married and they're still living with their families in their homes, and they cultivate this like home dynamic, family dynamic. So us here in America, men being raised by women alone, yes, that happens a lot, but I don't necessarily believe that that's what influences the more feminine man. I think it teaches them to be a little bit more empathetic, maybe a little bit more soft, but not in the new age term of soft, where you're not a man, but like soft as far as in touch with your feelings, in touch with being able to talk to somebody and not fly off the handle because I have all this testosterone, so now I'm just going to scream at you. No, you learn to like talk like a normal human being.
More vulnerable.
More vulnerable, right. But then there's also the total opposite, right? Where there's males that don't grow up with a male figure and they only see the mom, and let's say the mom has a lot of boyfriends and they're not the great picks, and so then the boy can now grow up being like, well, I have to be the man and I have to this, and they try to fit this role that they don't know nothing about, and then that continues as an adult man, and then they wonder why their romantic relationships fail.
That sounds very good. And I was going to say real quick that unfortunately that is the perfect balance, right, in a marriage or in a household, to have the male figure and the female figure, to create that balance of raising the kid the most optimal way. Unfortunately, nowadays we see in the short video in the beginning, the divorces, are in the rate high and the highest ever before. In history, and that's the thing, the laws here, they removed, like I said, the parent, and that's what creates this imbalance, and especially in both genders, in young girls and boys. That's why they're saying it's dads keep daughters out of stripping poles and kids out of prison. It's a thing. It's a real thing.
Yeah, well, as long as both parents are actually positive, because you could have a mother and father in the home raising you, but, they're beating on you every day and they're not treating you right. So there's so many different situations and scenarios.
Yeah, they've done these studies. They've done these services studies. I mean, we just report the statistics, and we try to find ways how we can, suggestions, ideas, because this is also happening in our Latino community as well.
Right.
And that's why we created this space, so we can have this conversation through dialogue, discourse, and try to find. This is a crisis that we're all suffering. And you mentioned other countries. Yeah, there's still some traditional roles that helps those countries, but unfortunately here, it's I just wanted to add to that.
I had a question for you, Kesia.
Yeah.
So you said you're Spanish, Portuguese, and Mexican. What's your mom and what's your dad?
My mom is Spanish, Portuguese, and my dad is Mexican.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the last name Gonzales.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And they met like here, U.S., abroad?
They met in the U.S.
Okay.
Yeah. They met in the U.S. in California. Both their families migrated to Salinas, California, and that's where they met.
And that's, is that NorCal?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. It's kind of like more little central north, isn't it?
Little central north.
Do you remember the name of the city? Because I lived in San Jose for 5 years.
Oh, Salinas?
Yeah,
Salinas. Okay,
Yeah.
very close. It's
Yeah,
half an hour
close
from
to
there.
San Jose.
Nice. The Bay Area, almost.
The Bay Area,
Yeah, it's beautiful over there. Good memories, by the way. So your dad must die very young,
My dad did pass away very young.
if you don't mind me asking. Of what?
He had cancer.
Oh, I'm
Yeah.
sorry. So you inherited that then.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it
unfortunately.
runs in the family.
Yeah, I'm sorry to hear that. It's difficult, that challenge.
And then, but up until his passing, he was still with your mom?
No, our dynamic of a family growing up was very unique. My dad my mom and dad were married up until I probably was in 3rd or 4th grade. he sat us down and said he's going to move out. And at that time, I knew that was okay because they had, we had witnessed altercations. And instead of it being normalized for us, they decided to part ways. And then when my dad, when he got ill, so, fast forward a few years, he moved back in with us so that we could care for him. My mom still talks of my dad as if, that they were married, and she still has that.
She had grace with him.
Yeah, she had grace. I think he had grace as well. So.
Okay.
Interesting. We don't want to get off of our main topic.
Yeah.
So we're going to start asking. You want to start by this? Or do you?
I actually got a question for Nancy.
Uh-oh.
Yo.
This is the time when things get a little.
Breaking news. So you're single now, huh?
Yes, sir.
So last time you were in a relationship, and if my memory serves me right, you had moved up here because of him.
Engaged.
And moved in with him.
Nancy, you were engaged, no?
I was.
And engaged. I missed that part, but I remember you moved up because of him.
Yes.
And you were like,
well,
lovey-dovey.
She showed us her engaged
I
ring.
know. Well.
So
Beautiful, by the way.
what happened there?
So not to get too into it, but
that's the reason we brought you, Nancy.
Of course, and cheese man,
Yeah, we're trying to create a novela.
A novela.
Spill the tea.
Well,
sis.
they say that you don't really know a person until you really live with them and you experience life and every day and all of that, right? So, I am a person that takes chances on herself. I pride myself in the decision making that I do for myself, whether it benefits me or actually at the end it all benefits me because there's always a lesson to be learned somewhere, right? So, yes, I left my life in Portland and moved up here and just, leap of faith to create a life with somebody. And there were unfortunate events that happened in the short amount of time that I lived with this person. And I kind of fell into a depression, and I didn't really understand why I wasn't feeling supported and what was really happening with me in those moments, and then came to realize that I was living the life that I was living wasn't mine anymore. I was living this person's life that he wanted me to fit in this role because he was very traditional and he wanted a wife and kids and church and all that stuff. And at the time, it's not saying that I wouldn't be able to adapt to that, but I didn't feel authentic. And then going through the moving, losing of my dog, he kept me in the house a lot. He didn't want me to work. He would tell me, oh, no, you don't have to work. I got everything. If you don't want to work, you don't have to work. And I kind of was like, okay, I haven't taken a break in 20 years. Let me take a break, and after 3 months of taking a break, it was like time for me to look for work. And I started noticing like, oh no, he doesn't want me to work, and then more things started coming out where he would purposely take my car keys with him so I wouldn't leave the house. He'd ask me, why do you want to make friends? You have me. And so there were a lot of these then red flags that started popping up, but in real time. And so in that moment, in a 3-week span, I had to make a decision. This is not my life. This is not the life I want. Yeah. This is not who's for me. And that's the thing, when you're in a long distance relationship, sometimes you get the rose-colored glasses, and you're only seeing each other every other weekend or every, whatever. And then when you're together, it's like, oh, we're together, let's make the most of it. So all the real stuff gets kind of put under the rug, but then when it surfaces up, it's real. Yeah. And I'm at a point in my life as a woman that's like, no, I'm not going to continue my patterns. I'm not going to live for somebody else, and so I had to make that decision. And it just ended and I moved on, and here I am.
Well, I will say that does sound a bit extreme, taking your keys and all that, but
Yep.
So you didn't want to fill in that traditional role, but so you, at the start of your relationship, you didn't have any of those difficult conversations?
I mean, we did, but I think, I'll be honest, I'll own up to it. I think I chose to live in this fantasy of like, oh, well, we're going to have a great life together and things are going to be great together. But then realizing like, oh, he wasn't okay with my dancing. He wasn't okay with me going out after 10 o'clock. There was a lot of things like rules that had started coming out, but that wasn't the person I met, originally, and so I feel like sometimes there's that switch up that happens in relationships, which then go from like really, really good to then, oh my gosh, what am I doing? And then you realize like now, and the switch up, we call it the switch up. It could be like anything.